Hey, this is Sky, and this is my Guardian tips and tricks PvP video. Just as a kind of like a PSA, the videos I put out in the next couple of days are going to be a little bit of a wonky quality because I had to do recording on a different computer, so I apologize for that. It should still be HD. The full screen's just kind of strange if you have a especially large monitor, so I apologize for that. But anyways, I am running a hammer and a greatsword, and my utility skills are Shelter, Judge's Intervention, Retreat, Purging Flames, and Renewed Focus. My traits are 10 in Zeal, taking the Fiery Wrath trait, 30 in Honor, taking Superior Aria, Pure of Heart, Two-Handed Mastery, 30 in Virtues, taking Retaliatory Subconscious, Elite Focus, and Permeating Wrath. And I wasn't a big fan of Guardians initially, but after playing this build in this beta weekend, I had a super good time. And this build primarily functions off the bread and butter combo of using my 5 skill, Binding Blade, to pull someone towards me, then swapping to Hammer using Ring of Warding, and dropping down Judge's Intervention, Purging Flames, and, then just rolling my face on the keys from there to stack on the burning and keep them trapped inside with me. Obviously, you can do anything else with this build, but that was the funnest thing I found to do. Trap my own little arena of pain. But yeah, let's look at a game. Alright, so we're just hanging out there under the gate. I got my sword out. Sword is what I start with because, like I mentioned in the intro, that's my initial combo is pulling them towards me, and it also has, more in the way of ranged abilities, because it gives me the leap and it gives me the whirl combo. That lets me shoot out those blades. This is the new map, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It was recently introduced in the 3rd beta weekend, called Faux Fire Legacy. It's kind of like an homage to Guild Wars 1. It's very reminiscent of a map from there, which makes me happy. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So we're capping a point, and this Mesmer thinks he's gonna be cute. He's like, oh man, look at these schmucks capping a point. I can take him, right? I'll fuck with them. They won't even get this point down, because I'm just a boss. And it's me and a warrior, so I don't know what his plan is. And this other guy. I think we actually have another guardian with us. So it's 3v1. This Mesmer is not making the wisest of decisions. I give him the Ring of Warding. Notice he just can't get out of that. He's just stuck there. He's stuck in this tiny little circle with me and my 2 other teammates, so he can reflect on his bad decisions and get bannered. Now, I'm chasing this guy down. I switch back to my greatsword, get crippled, all part of the plan. And then I use Judge's Intervention to close the distance, binding blades to land on him, and then I go to pull him back, but it kills him instead, which, works out. So, Judge's Intervention, even though I said I use it in my Ring of Warding to add additional burning, it is a teleport first and foremost. If you need to chase, use it. It's much more effective than a leap because it'll take you down cliffs and whatnot without any weird height clipping issues. So keep that in mind. What I did right there was I used the 2 on the greatsword skill followed by the 3 on the greatsword skill. And it placed a mark on the ground, and then it used a whirl combo, which fires cleansing bolts, which removes conditions from any allies it hits and damages enemies. That's just, it's not a terribly huge thing, but since I don't have much in the way of support skills because I don't really play that way, it's a nifty little compact thing within the greatsword weapon skills that I can just give a little bit of help to my team, even though that's not really my focus. I mean, my focus is to help the team want to win, but my focus isn't support. Now, this guy's getting fresh. There's 2 of them. I'm like, oh man, I should bail. I should roll out of here. And I'm popping my heal. The heal's really good. I like Shelter a lot. It's the blocking while healing is muy bueno. This guy. Now, the down skills on the Guardian have something that very few other down skills have, if any. To my knowledge, none of them actually do. Now, I died there, ignore that. But the second downed Guardian skill, pushes enemies back with a wave of light, just like in an AoE around them. And that's one of, if not the only, skill that can interrupt multiple finishers. And that's the biggest issue for me in PvP, is most of it's single target interrupt. Like I can use the Warrior Hammer Toss or the Engineer Scorpion Wire to interrupt a finish him animation, but if there's 4 dudes doing it to me at the same time, you know, you're pretty screwed either way. There's not much you can do there. But the Guardian has the unique ability to repel multiple attackers, and you know, it's a pretty sweet down skill, if I do say so myself. Now here, use leap to cross the gap. I don't see a lot of people do this for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because it's a waste of a cooldown and people see it as not being legitimate. But using the leap skill, be it on the warrior, be it on, you know, anyone else, or the guardian in this case, you can close a lot of distance over like impassable terrain. Like I just jumped that little chasm thing there and landed with my hammer out and brought the pain. So don't forget the utility of your skills. I know it's not PvE and you're not doing jumping puzzles, but never neglect the utility that some of your skills may possess, because it gets you where you need to be sometimes. It's good. Now, the reason I run Renewed Focus as my elite is because, one, it makes me invulnerable, as you just saw there, because I dropped dangerously low and I was like, nah dude, forget this. And two, because virtues are incredibly good. And I never really realized this, because like I said, Guardian wasn't one of, you know, the classes I was looking forward to, so I didn't give it too much thought. But your virtues are really good, especially if you heal and then pop your second virtue on top of your heal. And you can pop your virtues while channeling other moves as well, including your elite. So what I'll typically do is I'll use my shelter, pop my elite, pop all of my virtues, and then come out of that with all of my virtues, you know, my virtue buffs on me. And they'll all be newly refreshed because of Renewed Focus. So it's just generally a good thing. Now, typically my fighting is just, you know, it's very standard, flailing around. I use the 3 skill on my hammer to immobilize people. It has, I believe, 1200 range on it, so you can snare people from quite a ways away. So keep that in mind, because that's always funny. And it's a line AoE snare, so you can hit multiple targets with it. You can snare a whole team running away if you land it right, and if they're stupid enough to walk in a circle. Walk in a circle, what the fuck? Walk in a line. So that's one of the stronger moves of the hammer, you know, aside from Ring of Warding, which is possibly the greatest thing ever. You can also use Ring of Warding to escape. There, I popped it a little too early, so you didn't get to see, you know, the full potential there. But if you're running and you have a good head start, a good thing to do is to pop your Ring of Warding, swap to Greatsword, and then use the 4 skill to leap. So then they won't be able to move through that circle, or they'll be forced to go around it, which is still time consuming. And, you know, you'll be a distance away, is just, you know, escape from there like goddamn Batman, except blue and fiery. So most of the Guardian skills have this great dual nature that allows them to shine in a lot of situations. And that's part of what made me end up falling in love with the Guardian. This guy, I'm low, so he thinks he can take me. So I drop my Ring of Warding and channel my Renewed Focus to get all my beautiful virtues back up. Then I get my heals going, pop my F2. So I'm rocking back at full health now. This kid has seriously underestimated the Guardian. And he's trying to kite me around, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you can't kite me. I'm a Guardian. Boom. And he gets the banner. Now, that's one thing. If you're fighting a Guardian, keep in mind that it's not similar to a Necromancer skill-wise, but similar to a Necromancer in the sense that they will just bust out the mystery health. If you go in on them and they're really low, don't expect them to stay really low. The odds are they'll just, you know, shoot right back up and ruin your whole day. And that's what that Elementalist did. He's like, oh man, this guy's super low, I'm gonna take him out. Nope. Popped my Virtue, popped my Shelter, popped Renewed Focus, popped my Virtue again, and full health says hello. Special delivery to you, sir. Now, they're really good, Guardians are really good at point control, because the 4 hammer skill allows you to keep people away from it, the 3 hammer skill allows you to mobilize people before they can get onto it, and they have a lot of AoE, like the 3 Greatsword skill and Judge's Intervention, and it's good to abuse that when defending a point, to either keep people off it or keep people near it but incapacitated so that your team can take care of them. You're really playing, you know, many roles at once. Not only are you this tanky, indestructible juggernaut, but you put out tons of damage, and you also have amazing like backup support qualities. The Guardian's actually a really brilliant support class. I just, as I said earlier, I don't play him that way. That's why I have a giant two-handed sword and a giant two-handed hammer, because, you know, we take our business seriously here. Now, the clock tower I found is an ideal place to be the Guardian. I can use my hammer force skill to knock people off of the edges into like the stairwells and keep them off the point. And a ring of warding also takes up almost the entirety of the point, which, you know, if I place it towards the direction that people are coming from, I can keep them off the point and stop them from interrupting my cap with their little stupid ass presence. Now, what I did there, which was partially intentional and partially weirdy glitchness, was I judged his intervention to the guy on the windowsill. Now, if I had used leap, I probably wouldn't have made it, or I would have overshot it, because the leap brings you a set distance, whereas Judge's intervention brings me to the target. So you want to bear in mind that difference. They're both exceptional chase skills, but Judge's intervention is for when you need to land it spot on. Leap is for when you have room for error, because if you don't have room for error, then I would have just flown off this ledge into the abyss. And that didn't happen, because I'm a boss. So, see how small this stairwell is? Notice that when I pop Ring of Warding, takes up legitimately that entire portion. Nobody could get in or out during the entire period of that Ring of Warding. You want to choke spot as much as possible with the Ring of Warding, you know, provided you're running hammer, because it's just such a good skill. Easily my favorite skill on the Guardian, if only because I can trap people inside my little death arena and take them all on. I see all these guys scrabbling down below, and I kind of want to go in, because, you know, I'm full of great plans like that. And I see my friend down there, and he's still alive, and I'm like, well, man, maybe I'll keep these baddies off him. And I jump down there, and I'm like, alright, popping everything, pop all the things. And, you know, inevitably it doesn't end well for me, because that was not the greatest plan on my part, admittedly. But I wanted to save my friend, and I'm a Guardian, so I'm a big old knight. But I'm actually not getting much attention put on me, so I managed to down this guy with the third Guardian skill, which heals me in an AoE and damages enemies around me. Now that's another thing that the Guardian really excels at, is, you know, downing people while downed. Because you can keep them away from you with the Wave of Light, which pushes everyone away from you, and buys you oftentimes enough times to get your 3 skill down. And whether you down one of them, or heal yourself back up, either way, it's an awesome, awesome skill. Also, I don't know if you noticed that throughout these videos, but there's banners now with various woodland creatures, and that signifies rank. I'm not sure why they do that. Guild Wars 1 had a bit of a better system, and they had like dragons and stuff, but you know, I like ranks anyway, so I'll take it where it comes. This is pretty much just standard stuff, capping points. I try to be, this beta weekend around, I tried to be a lot more vigilant about capping points as well as engaging in combat, because that was something I kind of had a problem with, was I had picked too many fights, and like I said in a few of my videos, scrimmages aren't going to give as many points as capping points and holding points, unless it's like, you know, you decimate like 10 of them, because then that's a whole bunch of points, but that's typically not going to be how it goes down. Now here, I Ring of Warding the bear. That doesn't accomplish anything, but this ranger was my real target, and rangers, I find, can't do much against guardians with a lot of movement, like I have, and because, you know, they're based on kiting if they're using a bow to fight a melee target. And you can't really kite me because I teleport and do all sorts of snazzy stuff. And keep that in mind. If someone's trying to teleport. If someone's trying to kite you, don't even give it a second thought. Just pop Judge's intervention and just be right next to them. Ruin their whole day. Make sure you have your hammer equipped so that when you Judge's intervention next to them, you can immediately pop Ring of Warding and they're just stuck. They're just stuck in there. Just add your beautiful, glorious mercy. And keep that in mind. It's a very solid combo. It's, you know, doesn't take too many brains to execute, but it's super effective all the time. Pokemon up in this bitch. So, yes, I like the Guardian a lot, if you can't tell. I was actually screaming with joy throughout most of this footage, and therefore I had to mute it, so I apologize for that. You don't get to hear the awesome sounds of battle. But, had to do it. My fangirlish screaming had to be contained. Now, ramp battles on the Battle of Kyo are my favorite. Why are they my favorite? because no one can escape from me. I can leap up and down the entire lengths of these ramps, and, again, Ring of Warding covers the entirety of the ramp. So, they're at my mercy. Whenever anyone puts themselves in a small situation like this, they're at my mercy. I can trap them inside with me, stack lots of burning. Burning, I would say, is actually a bit too strong at this point. Maybe I'm sure that'll be polished up in release. And, you know, that's just my opinion. Don't quote me on that, but it does seem a bit too strong. And, yeah, so you're pretty much a one-man death machine, especially in one-on-one scenarios. I know Guardians were heralded as being overpowered in earlier betas, but I didn't play them until the third one, and this is post-nerf. So what you're seeing here in all its beautiful domination is a nerfed Guardian. I'm sure you all can imagine / know what a unnerfed Guardian was like. But they're still very strong, very fun to play. They do take a bit more effort than some other classes, I feel. You know, not to belittle people who choose other classes. Every class is difficult in its own right. But I feel like the Guardians have a little bit more planning involved with them. Or maybe I just made it that way by trying to do my Funkadelic pull Ring of Warding combo. And I'm just over complexifying something that's simple. Complexifying isn't a word, but, you know, deal with it. There's like no footage of this in any of my other videos, which is interesting to me, but trebuchets. Trebuchets are big. This isn't a Guardian thing. This is just trebuchets are big. If you can destroy the enemies and pilot yours / repair yours, do it. It's awesome. So awesome. Tons of damage. Does magical things for sieging the clock tower. A little bit off topic, but just keep that in the back of your head when you're doing this. The Battle of Kyo is that, you know, trebuchets. Good shit. Now, your goal when you have someone trapped in your Ring of Warding, obviously, is to do as much damage as possible. The Ring of Warding doesn't last all that terribly long, but you have more than enough time to either drop them to 50% health or make them blow their more important cooldowns. And either one of those is a victory in your hands. So here I'm doing what I said earlier, the Whirling Blades inside of my mark to remove conditions, because that does it to myself as well, or at least it seemed to. Maybe it was just coincidental, but I'm pretty sure it does it to myself. And again, fighting a ranger, I'm popping all my movement abilities. He's doing a better job of kiting me because there's 2 of them and a whole mess of pets. So you'll notice I pop all of my virtues and then renewed focus so that I get a little bit of breathing room. But I get downed anyways. You know, I can only do so much. But yeah, that's all she wrote there. I bit off a little more than I could chew. I went in with cooldowns not up, aka Judge's Intervention, so kiting me was a lot easier. Pets are a lot better now in this beta, so that makes them a bit more of a threat. I can't just completely ignore them anymore. But, you know, that's good. As someone who likes the Ranger, that's good. They were pretty piss poor weak. So this battle, for whatever reason, runs a bit long. You'll notice this video is longer than some of my other ones, and I do apologize for that if lengthy videos are not your thing. It just happens sometimes. You know, you have crazy back and forth, and the match just takes a bit longer. But in this situation, I wasn't completely unhappy because I got to fully embrace the wondrous joy of crushing my enemies. And as I don't particularly play a lot of melee classes, and I say that now. It's funny because I recently switched my main class on launch to Warrior, but prior to this game and this beta specifically, melee's not my thing. But the Guardian just hits so hard. He does so much. He's so flashy. You're not just bland with damage. You're shooting fireworks out of your face. Your hammer is just a giant divine symbol of awesomeness, and it's good. They're a really satisfying class. If you haven't tried them because of, you know, whatever reservations you may possess, I highly suggest you do, because my eyes were opened, man. My eyes were open. Now, my goal here, and it didn't work, unfortunately, it would have been awesome if it did, was to use my Wave of Light to push the people trying to finish me off the edge. Now that would be boss, and it is possible, because as I'm sure anyone who's played this game knows, and if for those of you who haven't and don't yet, you can push people off ledges and stuff. You know, knockback ability isn't, you don't slam into that invisible wall that appears in some games. You get knocked off. So in a perfect world, I would have been able to knock both of them off and gotten to res, and it would have been awesome. But, you know, it happens. Now, what I like about the Guardian is a lot of things. But what I like primarily about the Guardian is you can always find something to do. It's very, very rare that I find a situation in which I can't do anything in. Like, I never feel powerless. You know, be it uneven odds and for the enemy's team, they've got like a bunch of people or whatever, or we have tons of people and we're going to cap points or take like the guild lords and the full fire legacy. You can always do something. I mean, I'm sure you can always do something as every class, but the Guardian just seems to have like a Swiss Army knife skill set, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And try it out. I'm fanboying a little bit. It's fine. Now, again, ledges, small areas, everything. Your AoEs are not terribly large, but they're large enough to cover up, you know, like, you'll drop your AoE and one of two things will happen. It'll either be a drop in the ocean, or it will just be, this can just take up the entire area you're trying to fill. And areas like this, the stairwell, you know, you can spot them. You'll be able to tell which spots you'll be able to fill it up, and the more you use it, you know, the more you'll be able to recognize it. And that's your biggest thing, is area, is, no, I guess not area denial, more